Sparkling wines, fermentation and clarification. Obtaining clean and faultless musts is a fundamental requirement for producing quality sparkling wines. The prise de mousse, in fact, accentuates, for better or worse, all the notes present in wines. Unlike still wines, where it is important to emphasize certain notes, in sparkling wines, what is fundamental is aromatic complexity. This is because CO2 significantly increases the perception of positive notes, but also of negative ones. In fact, the olfactory perception threshold of a base wine is considerably lowered in sparkling wines, especially with regard to faults. A too pronounced bouquet would therefore be detrimental to the quality of the product obtained. Alcohol fermentation for the production of base wine. With the first fermentation, the foundations are laid for defining the winery's profile, cuvée or style. The choice of yeast is important depending both on the aromatic orientation defined by the winemaker and the type of finished wine desired. This is why alcoholic fermentation must be carefully managed to limit the risks of fermentation deviations and minimize yeast stress. In fact, if well nourished, the yeasts will give rise to base wines with minimal risk of olfactory deviations. Furthermore, the choice of nutrition and aging adjuvants must take into account the re-fermentation and maturation techniques that will be implemented for frothing. Aging before the prise de mousse. Once alcoholic fermentation is complete, we move on to aging, or élevage, which is also fundamental in optimizing the aromatic profile and directing the style of the wine. In fact, the consumer likes to find specific notes in the sparkling wine, usually drunk, that make it distinctive and unique. In the aging phase, it is possible to correct the small imperfections that may have occurred at the end of fermentation, thanks to the use of specific clarifiers. The purposes are many, among which the search for a frank and clear initial perception in the mouth, a good structure, and a long and elegant finish are of great importance for the quality of the finished product. The taste balance of the cuvée. A perfect balancing of the cuvée increases elegance in synergy with dosage after fermentation. Balancing takes place between alcohol and glycerine, acidity and sweetness, and finally polyphenols, tannins, and manoproteins. In particular, the acid sensation must be assessed and corrected during all stages of vinification up to bottling. This is because the acid stress in the mouth of sparkling wines is a complex and distinctive aspect, being linked to the dosage of sugars in the final product. Managing acidity therefore involves the fractioning of the must, which allows the pH to be managed, which in turn influences the taste and evolution of the wine, the acidification of the must and base wine, which are fundamental for the desired types of wine, also by virtue of tartaric stability, the choice of malolactic fermentation, which influences the polyphenolic perception of wines in the mouth and defines the taste sensation on tasting. The life cycle of the cuvée. The life cycle of the cuvée is nothing other than the result of the activity and choices made in the winery up to that moment. The matrix of the cuvée's life cycle is linked to numerous parameters rich in peculiarities. Fermentation parameters, which can influence the purity of the bouquet and aromatic finesse. The blending and aging factors, which influence polyphenolic structure, finesse, and the absence of bitter notes. And finally, pH management, which regulates acid sensations. All these elements form the basis of a quality sparkling wine, the result of the winery's enological objective to obtain unique sparkling wines whose organoleptic properties will remain intact over time.